Hello class, welcome to another session with Miss Bowen. Today we will cover 7.6G, Analyzing Bar Graphs. You will solve problems using data represented in bar graphs, dot plots, and circle graphs, including part-to-whole and part-to-part comparisons and equivalents. Please make sure you take notes, make sure you stay focused and pay attention to detail. Make sure you rewatch as many times as you need to understand the concept. And last but not least, make sure you ask questions, write down any questions that you have, and I will be sure to answer them in class. Let's get started. Bar graphs. A bar graph is a graph that uses the lengths of the bars to represent and compare data. We group data by the frequency and categories. So the longer the bar, the greater the value. Bar graphs can be represented either vertically or horizontally. The first graph that you see is vertical. The second graph that you see is horizontal. Analyzing bar graphs. When we are analyzing bar graphs, we first need to find and write down the frequency of each category. What I mean by the frequency is what is the item number for that category. Pay attention to your intervals for each bar. The next thing we need to do is make sure we find the total number of people or items used to gather the data. Add each value for all of the categories to find the total amount. The next thing we are going to do, we're going to make sure we compare our data using our comparison words and or our inequality symbols. So when we look at our comparison words, the items that you need to identify when you're reading your answer choices. I've created a list for you of those comparison words that will help guide you along the way. So please make sure you write them down. Next, we need to pay attention to equivalence. Equivalence means, are they equal to one another? Are they exactly the same? Are they equal to? You will be having equivalence as well. The last thing you need to pay attention to is be sure you calculate the percents, part-to-whole or part-to-part comparisons of the data by using a proportion. And when we use proportions, we use our Big H strategy. So be sure to, when we're talking about percent, part-to-whole or part-to-part comparisons, you're going to use that Big H strategy. Also pay attention to the words close, about, almost, a little. Those are going to be talking about the distance is similar to. So you want to pay attention to those words as well. We are going to begin with I do. So I'm going to model a couple of examples for you first. Then you're going to go to you do, we do, and then we're going to model together. And then you're going to go to you do. You're going to do this on your own. So use the following information for questions 1 through 4. The bar graph shows the results of the survey that asked people to name their favorite fruit. So we have the number of people, and we also have our fruits. So we have to annotate, so 140. Okay, is the number of people that chose apples. Oranges was 100, bananas was 80, grapes was 120, and strawberries was 60. When we annotate our graph, we want to make sure we find the total. How many people participated in this survey? We will add all of our numbers together, or our frequencies together, which means a total of 500 people were surveyed in this problem. What percent of the people surveyed said that grapes was their favorite fruit? Now we're going to talk about percent. Percent of the people surveyed said grapes was their favorite fruit. Whenever we are doing percent, we're going to use our Big H strategy. Percent means we're talking about a part of a whole. That means we're doing our part to whole comparison. So how many students like grapes out of the total number of students surveyed? We know that 120 like grapes out of a total of 500. Remember, percent is a number out of 100. So X out of 100. Remember, when we solve our big H strategy, we're going to cross multiply 120 times 100. 120 times 100 is 1200 divided by 500. So you're going to cross multiply the two numbers and divide by 500, which will give us an answer of 24 people said that grapes was their favorite fruit. Number 3. What fraction of the people surveyed said that orange was their favorite fruit? Remember, we are dealing with a fraction. A fraction deals with part to whole relationships. So we're going to do orange as their favorite fruit. So part to whole, orange is 100 out of the whole, which is 500. We're going to reduce the fraction to its lowest form or smallest form, which means we're going to reduce by 100. So 1/5 of the people said orange was their favorite fruit. Question number 4. What percent of the people surveyed that said apple or strawberry was their favorite fruit? We're going back to percent of the people surveyed that said apple or strawberry was their favorite fruit. We're going to stick with percent, which means we're doing part to whole relationship. So we're going to use our big H strategy. We're going to go over apple or strawberry is the part out of the total, which is our whole. What percent like strawberry or apples? Remember, we're going to combine apples and strawberries. Apples was 140, strawberries was 60, so 140 plus 60 is 200 out of the total surveyed. 500 were surveyed. What is the percent? A number out of 100. We're going to cross multiply. 200 times 100 is 20,000 divided by 500. Remember, you're going to cross multiply and divide. 20,000 divided by 500 would give us 40% of the people that said apple or strawberry was their favorite fruit. Example number 2. The bar graph shows the number of wins and losses by some local baseball teams. Well, this graph is a double bar graph, so that means we're going to annotate a little bit more than just a regular bar graph. So we're talking about wins and losses. We have 4 baseball teams: Bears, Sharks, Hawks, and Wolves. The Bears won a total of 9 games. They lost 3. The Bears played a total of 12 games. The Sharks won 10. They lost 2. And they played also a total of 12 games. The Hawks won 5 games. They lost 7 games. They played a total of 12 games. The Wolves won 6. They lost 6. And they also played a total of 12 games. So how many wins were there across our data? There were 30 wins. So if you add 9 plus 10 plus 5 plus 6, that equals up to 30. Our losses it's going to be 18. So 3 plus 2 plus 7 plus 16. Plus 6, excuse me. You remember, you're going to find your total. The total wins and losses, it's going to be 30 plus 18, which is going to give us a total of 48. We're going to write whether each statement is true or false based by the information in the graph. The number of wins for the Hawks is twice the number of wins for the Sharks. We're going to look for those comparison words. In this case, twice is the comparison word. The number of wins for Hawks is 5. Is equal to. Now we're going to rephrase this word twice to more. The number of wins for the Sharks is 10. So is 5 more than 10? No. Therefore, this statement is going to be a false statement. Remember, twice the number of wins for Sharks, so 2 times the number of wins for Sharks is 10. 2 times 10 is 20, not 5. So therefore, this will be a false statement. B. The Bears lost 25% of the games that they played. Well, they lost 25% of the games that they played. Therefore, we're going to use our Big H strategy to determine if this is a true statement or a false statement. We're going to go over how many that they lost. We know that they lost 25% of the games that they played. So the total. So 25%, we're not going to focus on that. We're going to focus on how many games did the Bears lose? 3 out of 12. They played a total of 12 games. So what percent is that out of 100? So 3 times 100 is 300. 300 divided by 12 gives us a total of 25%. Well, the Bears did lose 25% of their games played, so therefore this is a true statement. C. The combined wins of Bears and Wolves is less than the number of wins for Sharks. Remember, we're talking about our comparison words. We're combining and we're using the word less than. So the combined wins, Bears is 9, Wolves is 6, so 9 plus 6 is that less than. We're going to use our less than symbol. The number of wins for Sharks. Sharks wins is 10. So 9 plus 6 is 15. Is 15 less than 10? No, 15 is greater than 10. Therefore, this is a false statement. D. The Sharks won 5 times the number of games that they lost. So the Sharks won 10, 5 times the number of games that they lost. Well, remember, we're going to see, is it equal to more than the games that they lost? They lost 2 games. So is 10 more than 2? Yes. Well, we need to determine, is this 5 times more? So 5 times the number of the games that they lost. So 5 times 2 is 10. Therefore, this statement is going to be true. Now it's a quick check time. Now it's time for us to practice together. How well did you pay attention to the detail on the previous 2 examples that I said? Now we're going to practice together. The cafeteria manager took a poll of some students to find the most popular lunch item offered in the school cafeteria. The bar graph below displays the data. Pizza, taco, spaghetti, corn dog, cheeseburger were a list of items of the favorite food in the school cafeteria. We're going to look at our number of students. We're going to make sure we annotate our graph first. How many students chose pizza? 20. How many students chose tacos? 10. How many students chose spaghetti? 15. How many students chose corn dog? 10. How many students chose cheeseburger? 25. What is the total number of students that took this survey of their favorite lunch item? If you answered 80, you are correct. Now we're going to make sure we annotate our answer choices. So we're going to look for which of the following statements is true about the information in the graph. F. 15% of the students prefer spaghetti as their favorite lunch. So 15% of the students, and there's 80 students, prefer spaghetti as their favorite lunch. And we know there's 15 students that like spaghetti. Well, now we're talking about percent. So we're going to set up our Big H strategy. How many students like spaghetti out of the total number of students? Well, 15 like spaghetti out of the total. What does percent mean? Percent is a number out of 100. So if you answered a number out of 100, you are correct. Is this statement true or false? Remember, we're going to multiply 15 times 100, which is 1500. 1500 divided by 80 is what number? If you answered 18.7%, you answered correctly. 18.7% is not equal to 15%. Therefore, this is going to be a false statement. G. Exactly 25% of the students prefer tacos or corn dogs as their favorite lunch. Remember, we're looking at exactly 25% of the students prefer tacos or corn dogs as their favorite lunch. So we're going to talking about percent. So we're going to set up our big H strategy. Tacos or corn dogs? How many students like tacos or corn dogs out of the total? So I want you to tell me, how many students like tacos or corn dogs? If you answer 20, you are correct. Out of the total, which is 80. Remember, percent is a number out of 100. So is this statement true or false? Please justify your thinking. 20 times 100 is 2000. 2000 divided by 80 is 25%. So let's see if you are correct. 25% is exactly 25%. Therefore, this statement is true. H. Fewer than 30% of the students prefer cheeseburger or tacos as their favorite lunch. So we know fewer than 30% of the students, we know there's 80 students, like cheeseburger or tacos as their favorite lunch. Remember, we are doing percent. So we're going to use part to whole relationships. So what are we going to put in our first box? If you answered cheeseburger or tacos, you are correct. Out of the total number of students. So now what I want you to do is fill in all 4 spaces. Let's see if you are correct. Cheeseburger or tacos is 35 out of the total, which is 80. We're talking about percent, so a number out of 100. Is this statement true or false? 35 times 100 is 3500 divided by 80, okay, which is 43.75%. So now justify why this statement is true or false in your own words. Thirty-seven point 43.75% is not fewer than 30%. Therefore, this statement is false. Exactly 1/2 of the students prefer pizza, tacos, or spaghetti as their favorite lunch. So we're doing exactly, that means it's equal to half of the students, so half of 80 prefer pizza, tacos, or spaghetti. How many students like pizza, tacos, or spaghetti? If you answer 45, you are correct. What does half mean? Half means we're going to be dividing the total by 2. So 80 divided by 2 is going to give us 40. 40 is half. So is this statement true or false? "45 is not half of 80. So if you answered false, you are correct. Example number 4. We do. Miss Hawkins surveyed 50 students to find out their favorite types of video games. The results are shown in the bar graph. How many students took this survey? If you answered 50 students, you are correct. Now we're going to begin to annotate our graph. Call of Duty, Fortnite, Mario, and Madden were the favorite video games that students chose in Miss Hawkins' class. 11 students chose Call of Duty, 17 students chose Fortnite, 9 students chose Mario, and 13 students chose Madden. So remember, there was a total of 50 people surveyed. What strategy do we use on answer choice A? If you answered the Big A strategy, you are correct. So is A true or false statement? If you answer false, you are correct. Remember, we're using our Big H strategy. Madden and Mario are our comparison. Remember, we're doing less than 40% of the students. And remember, there's 50 students. And we chose Madden or Mario. Okay, so we need to add Madden and Mario. So 13 plus 9 is 22. Out of the total, which is 50. What percent is that? X out of 100. So 2200 times 22 times 100 is 2200 divided by 50, which is 44%. Therefore, 44% is not less than 40%. B. Exactly 1/3 of the students chose Mario. Remember, we're doing exactly 1/3 of the students. So 1/3 of the students is 50 chose Mario. Now 9 students chose Mario. So we're going to use our Big H strategy. So this statement is false. We use our Big H strategy. How many chose Mario out of the total? Remember, you have 1 out of 3 that chose Mario of the students. And then you're going to do X out of 50 because that's the total number of students in the class. So 1 times 50 is 50. Divide that by 3, which is going to give you 16.67. So is that 9? Remember, the number of students that chose Mario is 9. Excuse me. That is an error. It should be 9, not 13. Excuse me. So remember, 9 is not exactly 16.3 or 1/3 of the students. C. More than 60% of the students chose Call of Duty or Fortnite. Is this statement true or false? If you answer false, you are correct. Remember, more than 60% of the students, and there's 50 students, chose Call of Duty or Fortnite. Remember, Fortnite is 17, Call of Duty is 11. We're going to use our Big H strategy. Call of Duty or Fortnite over the total. So 28 over 50. We're using percent, a number out of 100. You're going to cross multiply 28 times 100. Divide that by 50. So 2800 divided by 50 should give us 56%. Well, is 56% more than 60%? No, this is a false statement. D. Exactly 2/5 of the students chose Call of Duty or Mario. Remember, we're doing exactly. That means exactly the same. 2/5 of the students and remember there are 50 students, chose Call of Duty or Mario. So we're going to set up our Big A strategy. So this statement is true. So this statement is true. If you answer true, you are correct. So Call of Duty and Mario over the total. Remember, we have 2 out of the 5 students surveyed. You're going to have X out of 50, so part to whole relationships and part to part relationships. So you're going to do 2 times 50, which is 100, 100, and 100 divided by 5 is 20. So therefore, the number of students who like Call of Duty and Mario is 20, which is exactly 2/5 of the students, which is also 20. Now it's going to be time for you to practice. Pause this video and practice the following problem. Be sure to annotate your graph and annotate your answer choices. Use the strategies from the previous problems to guide your thinking, as well as use your class notes if you need them. Good luck. Well, I hope you got this answer correctly. Good luck on working out the rest of the problems and learning this concept. Remember, if you have any questions for me, please make sure you write them down. I'll be sure to answer them tomorrow. See you in class.